the training program Genomics of Agriculturally Important Insects. So we will be glancing on some of these key aspects of the importance of insect genomics or the insect genome databases, what are the different genomic database approaches they are using, and what is its utility, that's more important. And the other day also I come across a question from a student, what is the need for genomics? You all know that as per the recent updates, more than 1,200 insect genome projects have been registered with the NCBI. This is one of the big group of organisms which are working with the genomics. Interestingly, the largest group of insects for which the genomic projects is underway is the group Thyroptera, where the louse or lices are coming under, followed by dipterans and lepidopterans. So as much as possible, we have the genomic works in more than 18 orders of insects. 401 assemblies have been, full-fledged genomic assembly has been there. And there are cases, there have been with 15 genomic projects in Coleoptera or 45 in Diptera or 25 in Lepidoptera have with a complete gene annotation of the genomic assembly. So it's a long way to go, because it's like different software versions or the mobile versions you have. As the days goes, with our genomic approaches or the tools we are using have also been being improvised. That is one. Second thing is, after sequencing, there is a need for complete annotation of the gene. What is what and what is the function? Then only the genomic projects would be completed. So it's all the way to go to complete the remaining genomic projects as well as for the complete annotation. As of now, only around 155 genomic projects for which the complete gene annotation is there. So just we can go for a glance where it started and others. The first one to start was in the Drosophila Genome Project. This was the time during 1990 there was a thinking of undertaking a big mission called the Human Genome Projects. Before venturing into the Human Genome Project, the scientists thought, let us first standardize with a model organism. Undoubtedly, Drosophila is the model organism, or it's a genetics fly. So they preferred to do with the genomics of the Drosophila because of the many number of gene information is available with the Drosophila melanogaster. So they decided to start the Drosophila Genome Project as a beginning in the 1990s, and this project was completed as a prelude to the Human Genome Project in the year 2000. And the genome of Drosophila melanogaster characterized one of the size of about 180 MB. Interestingly, it gives some of this information about the insect genome, like nearly 1/3 of its genome is made of heterochromatin around the centromeres, and about the large chunk of simple repetitive sequences and information on the transposon elements and RNA gene clusters. So this genome project of Drosophila melanogaster, it laid a strong foundation for studies on the molecular mechanisms, not only with these insects, for the whole of all organisms. This project was undertaken by the Celera Genomics and the Berkeley Drosophila Genome Project. So likewise, constantly this genome project of Drosophila is updated. Right now we had the 6th version of the Drosophila Genome Project. Like as I said earlier, mobile versions, as and when we get the refinement of the gene annotations and other processes, the genome assembly and gene notation will be further enlightened with their further modifications. So earlier we thought Drosophila melanogaster would suffice as a model insects, but it is not so. Considering the insect diversity, the Drosophila melanogaster cannot alone be remained as a single model insects for all the queries, because so many variations in the insects. The insects is one of the diverse group of organisms. So they attempted to go for exploring the further model organisms. So one of the model organisms they come across is this golden wasp Nasonia species. So they found Nasonia species is also easy to work with, and this genome project was started, and 3 species of the Nasonia have been sequenced and characterized: Nasonia vitripennis, Nasonia geralti, and Nasonia langiconidis. So this Nasonia genome project was completed in 2010. It gives new insights into DNA methylation kit, which contains 3 types of the DNA cytosine 5-methyltransferase. So our information on the DNA methylation kit have been broadened with a genome characterization of this Nasonia species, and interestingly 60% of the genes of this insect have a human orthologue, and 18% are arthropod specific, and 2.4% appear to be a Hymenopteran specific, and more evolutionary insights have been drawn basing the genome sequencing of these insects. And this genome project gives more information on lateral transfer of the bacterial genome into the insects, because over the course of evolution insects have evolved with the microbes. So during that process, number of the bacterial genome get incorporated into the insect genome. So this is called the lateral transfer of the genes of bacterial origin and microbial origin. This information gives a new evolutionary perspective of the insect microbe interactions. So from now on I will be highlighting what is the significance of a genome project and what are the new information it sets in. That's more important. So why we are going for a genome projects? Our stakes are high with respect to the agricultural crop pests, pollinators and beneficial insects. Second one, number of insects are the disease vectors. So they attach a lot of medical importance as well as human welfare. And another one is the applied significance. Since insects are living in the diverse habitat, there is a scope for gene mining for diverse environment to understand their survival in different environments. As I said earlier, besides Drosophila, Nasonia and many group of insects can serve as a model insects for human and other organisms. It gives a novel insights into physiological traits not only of insects, of human and general biology of the organisms. And more importantly, how the organisms are evolving, how the insects are adapting to the changing, because these are the insects of the one group of insects which have been resisting this evolutionary forces many million years even before the human have entered on this earth. So this insect genomics gives a lot of information on the evolutionary perspective, how an organism is adapted to a particular environment. All this information can be drawn from insect genomic projects. First we come to the human health. As far as vectors are concerned, in the last year itself 200 million malaria cases have been reported worldwide. Nearly 6 lakh people died of malaria. This is only a status as per the WHO, but there are many more unreported cases as well. A large number of insects including Anopheles species, Aedes aegypti, Aedes albopictus, Culex and many more mosquito species are associated with the transmission of serious diseases like malaria, yellow fever, dengue, and the list is very long. So a lot of casualties occurring every year due to the vector-borne diseases. So there is a great our imperative for saving the human lives, towards which we have to know the virus vector interactions or how pathogens are interacting with the insects, why insects as such are acting as a vectors for these disease causing pathogens. Towards that project, one of the big tasks undertaken was this mosquito genomic projects. So these mosquito genomic projects give a lot of information like how mosquitoes adapt to the new environment, how mosquitoes are finding a human host. For example, Culex quinquefasciatus, it consumes the blood of humans, birds, domestic animals and transmit pathogen. So it gives an information about the pathogenic cycle. So humans are not the only organism or the target sites, how the pathogenic cycle is completed in the environment. And about the olfactory receptors, how the mosquitoes are sensing the humans, how about the different odors they are perceiving. It gives an information of generating the newer repellents or deterrents for driving away the mosquitoes. And over the course of the time, we are using a number of insecticides to control the mosquito, and mosquito species have also evolved a resistance to the insecticides. So an inventory of the resistant genes will give an idea about the newer targets, how the insecticide resistance can be combated, what is the serious level of the resistance to different insecticides in different mosquito species. This genomic information gives a new insights about an array of metabolic detoxification genes, the receptor sites, all these informations have been culled from the mosquito genome projects, which will give idea for devising a newer strategies of targets. Again, disruption of this vectorability, and some of these aspects have been taken into account for the control of insects. One of the successful project is release of the incompatible Wolbachia strain. Wolbachia is a reproductive parasite associated with many group of insects, including mosquitoes. One way of controlling the insects is by dissociation of their endosymbiont association, especially these reproductive parasites. This Wolbachia is particular reproductive parasites. These are called as a male killers. They selectively kills the males of the organisms. So, by manipulating the Wolbachia strain, we can develop incompatible Wolbachia strain to a particular environment. By releasing of the non-compatible Wolbachia strain into the environment where the native mosquito population is harboring another Wolbachia strain, it is possible to create an incompatible environment. So, at the end, the mosquitoes could not able to complete their life cycle because of the incompatibility by the Wolbachia. This has been already successfully done in many countries by release of this Wolbachia. And another information is the RADL, release of insect carrying dominant lethal gene. This is one of the most effective strategy for which also the genomic information comes in handy. Another major vector insect is the housefly. It is omnipresent in all environment, and one of the offtake of the genome project of the housefly is considered as a powerhouse of the detoxification gene. A number of detoxification genes have been identified in the by assembling the genome of housefly, and it gives a new idea about developing a newer pesticides. So, all this information the genome-wide searches will give for a better vector control and ultimately lead to the improving the human life and controlling the disease causing pathogens in a better way. Next comes the scope for genomics in agricultural insect pests. Whether the insects survive or not, that is a different. Human survival is at stake because of this agricultural pests. The food security and nutritional security of the human is at stake only because of the one group of organism called insects. Because over the years, due to misuse and abuse of different control tactics, some of the balance have been lost. Now, there is a way for how to control an insects or manage an insects in better way. So, we have tried an umpteen number of approaches, physical, chemical, mechanical, cultural, everything. Now, it is an era of genomics, and we can also call this as is an era of IPM omics, insect pest management using the genomic information. So, towards that effects, number of projects have been carried out. As on date, 28 species of agricultural insect pests for which genomic information is available. One of the foremost important one carried out in the early years is the Tribolium castaneum. This toad grain pests have been completely studied using the genome project, and this genome project give an idea that Tribolium can better adapt to the environment because of the more there is abundance of the gustatory receptors and olfactory receptors, expansion of the cytochrome P450 gene and other detoxification genes. So, this gives the basic information of handling the insect genome projects in a better way. So, a number of consortium have been started thereafter. One of the important consortium is Aphid Genomics Consortium, where they are working for the genomics of the aphids. One model insects for all the aphid is Acethosyphon pisum. This genome was completed in the year 2010. It gives an information that this aphid lost the IMD immune pathway, the selenoprotein pathway, purine salvage pathway and ornithine cycle. And one more information they got is by comparative analysis with the major endosymbionts of the aphids, Bacnara aphidicola, the aphid has lost or shed many of its gene and it share the genome with the bacteria. Some of this essential physiological pathway, there are no genes in aphids, rather they are depending on the genome of this endosymbiont for the complementary association or the nutritional complementation. This genome project gives an excellent idea how insects are associated with the endosymbionts and how endosymbionts are nutritionally contributing to the welfare of the insects. And another important information we got from this acetosyphon project is the loss of juvenile hormones and hexamarine. It may be related to the developmental plasticity of the insects. So likewise, every genome project we are characterizing with a different group of insects. It gives a new information on the insect physiology and its survival mode. So likewise, there are a number of genome projects available. Some of these projects are not available as open databases, especially like Helicoverpa armigera. This is available with a private database. So this is also one of the moot question that some of these genome projects are done by agencies with the aim of harnessing more benefit and for strategic control. So some of these genome projects are taken up by the private entrepreneurs or the companies with the scope of developing a broader control measures as well as for improving their marketing strategies for developing a new genomics based products. We have in this way have a number of projects like Helicoverpa armigera, Kailos saprophysalis, for brown plant hopper Nilaparvata lugens or Plutella xylostella. One important information, the comparative genomics of Helicoverpa armigera and Helicoverpa Z. While Helicoverpa armigera is a polyphagous but not the Helianthus Z. It is a serious pest but not so with the Helianthus Z. Why it is so? Both are of the same origin or related species. The comparative genomics have thrown light that this Helianthus Z has lost some of these detoxification genes, and this gustatory receptor genes and other genes are less abundant in this Z compared to the Helicoverpa armigera. That's why Helicoverpa armigera is adapted to the more host plants in diverse environment, and also that is the reason it carries a number of insecticide resistant genes to counter the insecticides that are used for the control of Helicoverpa armigera. This information gives a light about how the insects adapt to the environment. Similarly, we have generate the information related to the Nilaparvata lugens and other insects. Among the beneficial insects, the important insect that has been characterized with a full genome perspective is the honeybee. Apis mellifera genome has been completed in the year 2006 as a part of the honeybee genome consortium. This has given interesting information. When compared to the other species of the insects, these honeybees have only 71 genes with related to immune and disease resistant. It is far less than even that of the mosquitoes or Drosophila melanogaster, which have 209 immune response gene or 196 in the case of Drosophila. Why it is so? Why honeybees are having the less immune response genes? The answer lies in that it may be that because of their cleaning behavior, that is what is called a cleansing behavior we call, and the antibacterial nature of the royal jelly and propolis, as well as their unique castle structure of the honeycomb, which prevents the entry of the microbes and pathogens. So during the course of the evolution, there is no need for such kind of a immune response, and in this case honeybee, it has been proved that this behavioral cleaning is an one important trait. Based on the genomic information, now these honeybees which are resisting to the disease, now they are looking for the colonies which are having the better hygiene traits. Breeding for hygiene, it is one of the important projects in successful Apis mellifera colonies. They are looking for colonies with the good behavioral habits of cleansing habits or the hygienic behavior of the bees. So this can be evolved into developing as a new strain for resisting the insects, resisting the diseases. So we have seen about the medically important insects, agricultural pest insects, beneficial insects. Next category is migratory insects. There are a number of migratory insects like Locusta migratoria. This year happens to be the season for the locust outbreak worldwide. It is considered also coinciding with the year called Sunspot Maxima. It is a kind of 12-year cycle wherein locust abundance is reported periodically in the history, and 2019 happens to be a Sunspot Maxima year, and invariably this locust outbreak has been reported worldwide, as well as grasshopper outbreakers also in some parts of the India, including Andhra Pradesh, Maharashtra and other regions. So, this migratory habit of the insect can be better studied by the genomic projects. One of the earliest one we had in this region is Locusta migratoria. Interestingly, the genome size of the Locusta migratoria is 6.52 GB. When compared to other insects which are in the range of 200 to 300 or in some cases 600 MB, the genome size of the Locusta is 6 GB, is far higher than the human being. What is the size of the human genome? 3. It is nearly double the size of the human genome. Can't you imagine? That is amazing. That is what is called C-value paradox. We cannot compare the organism size with this genome size. And the largest size of the locus genome is attributed to the high number of the repetitive sequence. 60% of the whole genome is contributed by these repetitive sequences. Next information, how Locusta could be able to do the migration, long distance migration, how it is having the migration of thousands of kilometers at a stretch. Genome information gives the insights. In order to adapt to the long distance migration, locusts have evolved a set of efficient mechanisms of energy storage, metabolism with the lipids as well as the major energy substance. Gene families related to lipid transportation, antioxidant protection, lipid degradation have been expanded. For example, perilipins, fatty acid binding proteins, PRDX6S genes, sigma GST, likewise many number of genes associated with the lipid transport pathway have been enriched in the Locusta migratoria. That is the one reason that is propelling the Locusta migratoria to able to take the migratory flight over a long distance. The mystery of long distance migration have been holistically resolved by the genomic informations. Now, this genomic information can be validated by functional characterization of each of the genes. Another interesting feature is you all know about the monarch butterfly, Danaus plexippus. Interestingly, there are two types. All the Danaus plexippus are not migratory. There is a migratory type as well as the non-migratory type. So, within the same species, we have both migratory and non-migratory. The comparative genomics of the migratory versus non-migratory sheds light why one particular strain is non-migratory while other strain is migratory. For example, the non-migratory Danaus exhibits significantly increased longevity in migration, increased abdominal fat deposits and cold resistance to complete the long distance migration, whereas a high metabolic rate is there for the non-migratory, whereas in the case of migratory one, the metabolic rate is very slow. The migratory one has a slower metabolism so as to have an improved flight. So, all this energy is diverted for the flight efficiency rather than for its own metabolic efficiency. By trade-off between the metabolism, longer flights are taken in the migratory species. So, every time when a genome information is characterized for an insect, new insight is given on the physiology of the insects. Why such thing is happening in the insects, in the behavior, its physiology is resolved by more and more information on the genomic projects. Recent years, this Asian longhorn beetle is one of the invasive pests on the forest ecosystem. It is a worldwide invasive wood pest. This Asian longhorn beetle genomics, especially the species Anastrunella glabripennis have been characterized, and it gives a new information, Anoplophora glabripennis, that is Asian longhorn beetle. It has a special set of polysaccharide enzymes to degrade the plant cell walls, detoxify the plant allelochemicals and consume wood. The metabolic plasticity of this A. glabripennis is the reason for its high degree of invasion. The genes related to specialized feeding of plants were originally obtained from the bacteria and fungi. So, insects are evolving with the bacteria and fungi to have the better metabolic efficiency. So, this case is also again another example of the insects association with their endosymbionts to survive in the environment. The expansion and functional differentiation of these genes help to strengthen the metabolism and enhance the ability of this Asian longhorn beetle to invade larger areas. So next comes the white fly. Undoubtedly, this is one of the serious pests. Globally, it has been recorded and it is causing a huge economic loss both as a pest and also as a vector of more than 100 virus diseases. The complexity of the pest control in this case is this white fly has been regarded not as a single species, but as a species complex. As on date, white fly has been regarded as a species complex of 41 genetic groups. So this plasticity of the genetic group, earlier it was regarded as a biotype, now the new nomenclature is the genetic group. The current literature as per the recent update, it has 41 genetic groups. In India, as on date, we have characterized more than 11 genetic groups of the white fly. Worldwide, B biotype and Q biotype are the predominant invasive genetic groups across the wide stretch of land area. So two genome projects have been taken up, one on the B biotype, another one on the Q biotype. The genome has been characterized somewhere around 650 MB, the size of the genome. In both these cases, they have found out why these species are considered to be so much of invasive. As I told earlier with the Helicoverpa armigera case, here again whitefly is endowed with a high set of repository of the detoxifying genes. The detoxifying gene enzyme families of cytochrome P450 and UDP glucuronosyl transferase have undergone remarkable expansion in this. That is the reason that it is resisting more than 45 active ingredients or 45 groups of the chemical are resisted by the whitefly. If you go to the arthropod resistant database, next to the Plutella xylostella, whitefly is one of the major insects which is resisting almost all the chemical group of insecticide as on date released. No sooner a chemical group is released than we find that whitefly and Plutella xylostella are evolving resistant to that. It means it's not, newer forms are not evolving, they have the repository of this detoxifying gene family. This expansion of these detoxifying genes give the better arsenal with this insect to resist the diverse group of insecticide. Interestingly, they have studied first time with the B biotype, later than with the Q biotype. Now Asia 2.1 has also been characterized. Interestingly, there are variations in the enrichment of the different cytochrome P450 genes differentially in P, Q and Asia 2.1. That also gives an information why certain genetic groups are invasive but not others. Though 41 genetic groups of whitefly are there, only few are a major invasive genetic group like these 3.1. Again, the genetic information or the genomic information gives a new insights. Here again, their association with the endosymbionts have been characterized. As many as 142 unique genes have been found to be horizontally transferred from the bacterial endosymbionts. So over the course of evolution, they nurture the endosymbionts, they give the shelter to them in the form of the bacteriocytes where these endosymbionts resides, and millions of years of association led to the horizontal gene transfer for the benefit of the better survival of this endosymbiont. These endosymbionts gives some adaptive features like resistance to insecticides, thermal tolerance and many more features. All those new informations we can garner from the genomic projects. So once the genomic information is available, we can take the database, doing some more specific studies with the transcriptomics and validation of these genes, then we can characterize the physiological and biological significance of those specific genes of our interest. So I have given some example, I have given some examples of the vector insects, beneficial insects, agricultural insect pests, migratory insects, then some of the invasive species. So just I have given only among the 155 characterized gene annotated genome assemblies, only a snapshot of 5 or 6 case studies I have given. All these informations are given every time when insect genome is characterized, it gives a new information on the insect survival, its development, its physiology, its behavioral characteristics, everything. So if you see, there is an assemblage of insect genome databases. There are some consortium databases like fly base, vector base, butterfly base. These are these databases which are working on the group of insects or the related. For example, aphid consortium or the aphid base related to the assembly of all the aphid genome databases. Similarly, some of the serious pests, they have created a database called Hessian fly database. So this gives an information for those researchers working on this particular group of information. They can share the genome information, they can give better annotation, as well as they can go for a newer versions of this refined from this genome. Similarly, there are some single insect genome databases like Monarch databases or Kylo databases. Like there are specifically for a single insects, there are a many number of databases like Nasoneer database, Whitefly genome database. For a single insects, they are paying attention to characterize the genomes. So likewise, we have consortium database as well as the single insect database. Besides, there is an integrated databases. Now, as more and more insect genomes have been characterized, there is a need for doing the comparative genomics. So we need a comprehensive platform for studying the insect genomes. So there are many number of efforts have been taken up. One of the important project towards this direction is I5K. You know what is I5K? Deals with 5,000. They have an ambitious plan of characterizing the 5,000 insects, genome of insects worldwide. In the projects, this Polkow actually initiated in the year 2015. They give the expansion, and as of now around 64 insects have been characterized. So this is a platform worldwide to integrate those people who are working on the insect genomes. So this database is kind of a platform. This is a workspace. It provides a standardized process and platform for genome assembly, gene annotation and maintenance. As of now, this database has for 64 insect genomes. This provides the function of browsing, downloading, data submission, sequence alignment, genome visualization, online genomic manual annotation platform, and 2 online tools and like HMR and Clustal. So when newer researchers are given entry into this insect genomics works, it provides a lot of platform for a genomic assembly and for characterizing the insect genome assemblies. The most notable advantage with this workspace is this platform provides both community annotation and manual curation of the insect genome, and it produces the gold standard for official gene set for the insects. It has given a new set of genome assembly rules and others. It pays the further genome, whoever want to do the de novo assembly of a newer insects, it gives a lot of information. This is one of the prominent integrated insect genome database. The next foremost important one, the recent one, is the insect base. It is actually maintained by Yin et al., Yin and co-workers in the year 2016. It is of a Chinese origin. It is a comprehensive database of insect genome and the transcriptome database. It includes insect genome of all the 155 species. So far gene annotation is available as per the NCBI database. So they have retrieved the sequence information from the NCBI, and it contains over 4 million ESTs from 237 species. So the data is amazing. Whatever the available information of the insect genome so far have been provided in the one single comprehensive base called the insect base. It provides a variety of functions including query, alignment, genome visualization, pathway construction, annotation, evolution analysis, all in one single platform. You just visit this site insect base. Whenever you are working on any new genome, you can put it as in their wall that I am working on this such and such new genome projects. If there are any collaborators worldwide, they can collaborate. Likewise, they are giving notices for starting a new genome projects. They can share the information, and the experts give their information and inputs in better refining the genome assembly, because the genome assembly will be characterized as and when more genomes are annotated by using the information on the orthologous genes in different related species that is available already characterized one. So every time when a new insect is characterized, we have to look for a comparative genomic databases to help in the gene annotation and for refinement of then only the draft genome assembly will become a full-fledged genome assembly. So now we have given a perspective of overall what are the different insect genome projects are there, what is the importance of the insect genome, what is its significance in the medical field or agricultural field or in the field of beneficial, and how this genomic information have been integrated in different databases, or how these databases can be utilized for the amateurs who are entering in the insect genome projects and others. Now we have to seriously look into the what are the perspective of the insect genome project. There is an increasing number of the genomic resources, transgenic techniques for many species that are available. Number one, well assembled genome sequences with a high contig of N50 as on date is available with insects. A traceable genetic manipulation via RNA interference and is also possible based on the genomic information. Why they are going for this characterizing the insects as well as for the assembling the insect genome? Because of the simple reason they have a short life cycle and population can be easily maintained in the laboratory. So insect genome data are tremendously useful for developing resources for alternative and eco-friendly pest control. That is one important perspective. Another one, population genetics or population genomics, which can be applied for pest species for implementation of the newer integrated pest management, leading to the new era called IPM omics. Understanding the population structure and ecology of the insects, utilizing the genome information, how best insects can be controlled without the use of insecticides, how their population stabilizes over the years, how this population can be controlled, all informations are available in the insect genome databases, for which the comparative genomics is a powerful tool. So with all this information, the coming years is, we can say, is the IPM omics, genome based information for insect pest management. So this is a positive side of it. So once we are telling there are scope and other thing there are inherent challenges as well. Number one, the high quality insect genome database is foremost important. It is very difficult to get the high quality genome assembly. Normally genome assembly is done with a short read because of the novel repetitive sequence and the heterozygosity. One of the major problem encountered with the insect genome or characterizing while going for the genomic of an insect is that we have to have a homozygous population or a homogeneous population. As for the inherent heterozygous, the populations which are drawn from the field, they are heterozygous in nature. So you need to develop a population from the isogenic female line so that you can have a homogeneous population. Once a homogeneous population is developed, then it is easy, the genome information will be having a uniform information. Whereas the available databases are mostly heterozygous, if they utilize the source insects or heterozygous or the field drawn insects. One important reason being is all the group of insects cannot be mass multiplied. They collect from the open environment and they do the insect genomics. So that is one of the major impediment that most of these databases are having the insects drawn from the heterozygous pool. Another important one, hundreds of transcriptomic databases are available, but they are only used for just for a sequence resource for expression analysis. But how best we are using this transcriptomic data? Many of the cases that transcriptomic data or the genomic data are not shared between the workers. Only, as I said, insect base and the I5K platform, now they are providing a common platform for drawing the genomic sequences. Otherwise, many cases these sequences lie as a personal property of the individuals who have been doing. For not sharing these things, just rest only with their lab analysis for producing paper on their expression analysis. Still more, it can be harnessed with available genomic information as well as the transcriptome information. Especially the exploration of this transcriptome should be an interesting feature. Basic, for example, with a pest insect based on the transcriptome data, you can identify a new targets or you can identify the different detoxifying gene families. So same thing, it can be replicated in your own studies. So likewise, as and as more people are utilizing this transcriptomic and genomic information, the wealth of the genomic database, and we can harness the full potential of the insect genome. Otherwise, it will simply remain as a ATCG, big chunk of the alphabets, genomic alphabets, that is all. Only when we put into use for harnessing their potential for developing either control or for understanding their functions, this will remain just a genomic alphabets. We have to use these alphabets to produce more and more books. In this case, more and more control strategies for which sharing of the genome is very much important. So the rapid evolution of the genome dates as well as call for more opportunities as well as it poses more challenges. So as a part of this training program, we have given an idea about the different tools we are using for insect genomics. You have been exposed to a number of tools, molecular tools related to the insect genomics. So I just to summarize what is the utility, perspectives and challenges of the insect genomes. There are any queries, I can answer as much as I can.